Welcome back to Center for East Turkestan National Interest podcast program, where we bring critical conversations about human rights, ethnic struggles, and political narratives in regions like East Turkestan. I'm your host, Nadira, and today we will be diving deep into Xi Jinping's recent speech at the National Conference on Commendation for Ethnic Unity and Progress. This isn't just about the words we hear, it's about uncovering the reality behind those claims of unity and equality. Joining me again is our insightful guest, Mrs. Ruqayya Turtush, who has been with us before. Together, we will challenge the official narrative and explore how these policies affect the lives of millions, especially in regions like East Turkestan. So, Mrs. Ruqayya Turtush, on September 29, Xi Jinping delivered a speech at the National Conference on Commendation for Ethnic Unity and Progress, emphasizing the great unity of the Chinese nation. He said that the Communist Party of China has always placed a great importance on integrating Marxist ethnic theory with the reality of China's ethnic issues, as well as with the essence of traditional Chinese culture. What does that mean? Could you tell us the meaning and implementation of these words?
I think it's very obvious that Xi Jinping's words in his speech reflect CCP's well-known ethnic policy that using Marxist ethnic theory for Chinese colonialism's benefit against other ethnic groups in its colony. Actually, all Chinese leaders, including those before Xi Jinping, believed in the Marxist ethnic theory that the eventual disappearance of differences among nationalities. But they have selectively kept only certain aspects of this theory, combining them with a sense of Chinese nationalism. For these Chinese leaders, while they accept that differences among nationalities will fade over time based on market theory, they believe that. Same time, they assert that Chinese identity will remain distinct and unchanged. So they believe that only Chinese, ethnic Han Chinese will not disappear in this world. So we can say that what Xi Jinping said in his speech reflects gradual ethnic policy practice long before Xi Jinping. Because Xi Jinping himself actually following the footsteps of China's founding fathers and the leader of Chinese Nationalist Party Sun Yat-sen and the Communist China's founding father Mao Zedong and Deng Xiaoping. For example, Sun Yat-sen was influenced by the single nation state ideology of Japan and the civic nation state ideology of the United States, but it was impossible for him to establish single Han Chinese nation state at that time because he wanted to annex East Turkestan, Mongolia, and Japan at that time. He also did not go to the path of American-style civic nation building because he wanted to assimilate all other non-ethnic Han Chinese in the colonized region, assimilated into ethnic Chinese. It was reflected in his plan for national reconstruction in 1924. Also in his famous Sanmenjuyi, the three principles clearly say that Chinese people should sacrifice their biological ethnic purity for the benefit of Chinese to support Chinese imperialism and the colonization of the territories. And when it comes to the Chinese Communist leader Mao Zedong, he promoted national liberation against the imperialism. However, when it comes to the question of East Turkestan, Tibet, and Mongolia, contrary to the internationalism and the Marxist ethnic theory of support national liberation of oppressed ethnic groups and advocating for their right to self-determination, he insists that building powerful and a greater China that could be achieved by expanding Chinese territory to East Turkestan, Tibet, and Mongolia by annexing these rich natural resource regions. And they invaded those regions and violated the external self-determination of these people that colonized by the Manchu Empire and already had established their own de facto states at that time. And Mao also characterized people in these colonized nations as minorities in China. This was written in his essays in 1939. It was 10 years before PRC invaded these territories. He strongly believed Marx's theory of nationality differences among the people would be disappeared, but like other leaders, he also only applied this theory to the non-Han ethnic nations in China's colonized regions because, like Hitler's nationalism, for these Chinese leaders, Han ethnic nation is great nation and the most civilized nation. All other nations will disappear in this world, but only Han Chinese nation will not disappear, never. So that's what they believe and think. This is why Deng Xiaoping introduced the Chinese characteristics doctrine and tried to make everything in Chinese style and Chinese characteristics, aiming to absorb all aspects of other ethnic cultures into Chinese identity. So Xi Jinping only, I think, has intensified these ethnic policies using harsh and very brutal tactics, pushing them to the highest stage of genocide.
Thank you so much. And he also stressed the importance of fostering a strong sense of community among the Chinese nation as the main threat. What could this strong sense of community among the Chinese nation imply, and what is he referring to?
I think the meaning of his words here to fostering the Chinese nationalism, because strong sense of community never could be achieved in anywhere that ongoing genocide taking place. Let's talk about Uyghurs in East Turkestan as an example. How can be the people who harshly oppressed, discriminated family members who are killed and imprisoned by the Chinese government and the Chinese settler colonizers feel this sense of belonging to the Chinese nation or community? It's impossible, because these people never had been protected by law and they have no legal rights, economic rights, or political rights as a Chinese citizen equal to other Han Chinese. So how they feel or have a sense of nation of China, it's impossible. Besides, Xi Jinping and his government cannot hide the history of Uyghurs and what they have done to Uyghurs by burning books or ban YouTube or Google or Facebook or other social media or any other media, or ban hiding those kinds of things. People in China's colonized regions aware that they had been colonized by China. China never able to hide this. They never feel belong to Chinese nation, and these people never will to identify themselves as Chinese nation. So pushing for strong sense of community among Chinese nation only increase or intensify Chinese nationalism among Han Chinese. It may work for the Han Chinese and intensify Chinese nationalism. But other ethnic people who forced to express strong sense of belonging to Chinese nation only could express these sense because they have no other choice. But it's not real.
Thank you for breaking that down. And Xi Jinping stated that the party has united and led the people of all ethnic groups across the country to achieve national independence and the liberation of the people, establishing a new situation of equality and unity among all ethnic groups. He also said this proves their ethnic policy is entirely correct. What is your argument against this claim?
This is a total lie. China did not liberate East Turkestan. The People's Republic of China was established in 1949, but the East Turkestan Republic had already been founded 5 years earlier. Everyone knows that. If Communist China had truly liberated East Turkestan peacefully, why did they enter with armed forces in 1949? Why did they create the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps, Bingtuan, in East Turkestan? Let me share one of the historical evidence here, a telegram exchange between Mao Zedong and Stalin in 1949, before the PRC's invasion. Mao asked Stalin for military aid to invade East Turkestan, and Stalin agreed, and he did. This telegram was still in Russian archive right now, and it was translated and kept in Wilson Center. You can look at there. And words of Xi Jinping's speech, such as harmonious relationship among all ethnic groups, nothing but party's propaganda. Everyone knows that how they forced the relationship between Han Chinese and Uyghurs by sending Chinese families sleep over Uyghur home 1 or 2 weeks in every month as a human spy. This is a well-known fact, and the proof that how CCP trying hard to create this fake relationship between these two ethnic groups, between Uyghurs and ethnic Han Chinese. And ridiculously, the Xi Jinping described in his speech that the situation of ethnic people is historic and earth-shaking changes. In fact, the changes in East Turkestan led to genocide, with 1 to 3 million Uyghurs being detained in re-education camps and forced labor camps. If Xi Jinping considers his ethnic policy a success, it's only because they succeed in committing genocide, nothing else.
Thank you. Your insights really highlight some contradictions in what's being presented. And Xi Jinping pointed out that the Chinese path to solving ethnic issues focuses on the principle that all ethnic groups are equal, opposites ethnic oppression and discrimination, and ensures that all people genuinely enjoy equal political rights and jointly become masters of the country. If these are their ethnic policy principles, have they been implemented in practice, and how?
No, absolutely not. They never had implemented, and I don't believe they will do it in the future. If equality implemented, for example, in East Turkestan by the Chinese government, discrimination, oppression abolished against the Uyghurs and other Turkic people, there would be no genocide. There would be no ongoing genocide, right? If what Xi Jinping said is true, then why they imprisoned Ilham Tohti? Uyghur scholar Ilham Tohti asked the same thing. He asked equality and no discrimination, nothing else. But he sentenced to life by the Chinese government. If what Xi Jinping said is true, they have to release Ilham Tohti. They have to release all Uyghur intellectuals that they have imprisoned. They must. These Uyghur intellectuals' only crime is being Uyghur and dedicating their knowledge to development of Uyghur literature, development of Uyghur culture, and Uyghur identity. But entire class of Uyghur intellectuals, more than 300 Uyghur intellectuals, are imprisoned, and we don't know what's happening to them today. If equality of all ethnic groups and oppose oppression is principle of Chinese ethnic policy, as Xi Jinping said in his speech, then the Chinese government and the party led by Xi Jinping is violating their own principle today by conducting genocide in East Turkestan.
Thank you again, Mrs. Ruqayya Turdush, for your thoughtful response. It gives us a clearer picture of the contradictions in the policies being promoted. As we've uncovered today, Xi Jinping's speech paints a polished picture of ethnic unity and progress in China. However, the reality for many ethnic minorities, particularly the Uyghurs, tells a very different story. While the government claims equality and harmony, the lived experiences and ongoing policies suggest otherwise. It's crucial to continue questioning and challenging the narrative, especially for those whose voices are being silenced. Thank you for tuning into Center for East Turkestan National Interest, and until next time, stay informed and stay critical.